Canadian Special Operations Forces Command is a command of the Canadian Armed Forces. It is responsible for all special forces operations that are capable of responding to terrorism and threats to Canadians and Canadian interests around the world. Composition: CANSOFCOM is composed of Joint Task Force to Ottawa, Canadian Special Operations Regiment CFB Petawawa, 427 Special Operations Aviation Squadron CFB Petawawa, P Canadian Joint Incident Response Unit CFB Kingston and Trenton. CANSOFCOM also employs an integrated operating concept that combines the capabilities of all units in a special operations task force capable of completing assigned missions and tasks. Therefore, depending on the tasks at hand, various combinations of personnel from JTF to CSOR, 427 SOAS and CJIRU are assembled into a special operations task force as appropriate to accomplish assigned missions. The commander selects which task force a team will be deployed based on several criteria, including the scope of the problem, the required response time, what effect needs to be achieved, and the level of precision required. Based on the requirement to respond to specific standing tasks assigned to the CAF by the GOC, such as respond to a terrorist attack, an international crisis or a CBRN threat, CANSOFCOM has developed several standing Special Operations Task Forces. Immediate Response Task Force. The IRTF is the highest readiness task force available to the Government of Canada. It is deployed on extremely short notice to address issues that could affect national interests. It is composed of personnel from all CANSOFCOM units and is led by JTF2. Its primary focus is counter-terrorism operations. Domestic war. International tasks include, but are not limited to, hostage rescue, direct action, CBRN response, sensitive site exploitation, counter-proliferation, and maritime special operations. Chemical, biological, radiological and nuclear task force. This task force is based on the personnel and capabilities of CJIRU and includes the CANSOFCOM contribution to Canada's National CBRNE response team, led by the RCMP. The CBRN task force provides a short-notice response to crisis or major events within Canada and is primarily focused on counter-terrorism that involves chemical, biological, radiological and/or nuclear elements. It provides technical response to CBRN incidents and can be enabled by the capabilities of other CANSOFCOM units as required. At the request of the Government of Canada, the CBRN task force can also conduct counter-proliferation operations and be deployed internationally. Tasks include, but are not limited to, reconnaissance, surveillance, sampling, limited decontamination for task force personnel and sensitive site exploitation. Task Force Arrowhead. TF Arrowhead is a scalable, agile force able to respond to threats and incidents around the globe on short notice. While it is internationally focused, it can also be deployed in Canada. It is a high-readiness SOTF capable of quickly deploying to a crisis for short periods of time. It is composed of personnel from all 4 units in the command and is led by CSOR. TF Arrowhead represents an initial response that could be a precursor to the deployment of another SOTF, a conventional task force. Tasks include, but are not limited to, direct action, CBRN response, sensitive site exploitation, counter-proliferation, support and non-combatant evacuation operations, and special protection operations. SOF teams. Small teams of CANSOFCOM personnel perform tasks that fall outside the scope of the three standing task forces. SOF teams generally deploy for short periods of time, typically not longer than 6 months. SOF teams are made up of personnel and capabilities from all 4 units. Tasks include, but are not limited to, defense, diplomacy and military assistance, strategic advice, planning and liaison, strategic reconnaissance and security support to operations of other Government of Canada organizations. The IRTF, CBRN Task Force Arrowhead and the SOF teams do not represent the full extent of CANSOFCOM capabilities. CANSOFCOM is capable of generating additional forces for specific needs as required. Core tasks. CANSOFCOM's core tasks are to provide the Canadian Forces with the capacity to prevent and react to terrorism in all environments, to provide the CF with the capability to perform other missions as directed by the Government of Canada, such as direct action, special reconnaissance, defense, diplomacy and military assistance, as well as special humanitarian assistance. Commanding officers. On September 12, 2005, Colonel David Barr was appointed the provisional commander of the CANSOFCOM. During his tenure as commander, Colonel Barr also deployed to Afghanistan as commander of the Canadian Special Operations Task Force in Operation Enduring Freedom. Major General D. Brigadier General D. W. Thompson, OMMM-SCCD commanded the Canadian Special Operations Forces Command, 2011 to 2013. Brigadier General Michael Rouleau, OMMM-SCCD is the current commander of the Canadian Special Operations Forces Command, appointed in 2013. The current Command Chief Warrant Officer is Chief Warrant Officer Daniel Brissett, MSMCD. Uniform. With operational uniforms, all members of CANSOFCOM wear the tan beret, regardless of their environment, with the badge of the personnel branch or, in the case of the Royal Canadian Armed Corps and Royal Canadian Infantry Corps members, the badge of the former regiment, with ceremonial and service dress. Navy members wear service caps with tan bands. Army members wear tan berets and Air Force members wear blue wedge caps with a tan insert.